Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. I thought it was time to do an updates video about what is happening at Truly Holistic, what are we finding, and what this video is going to be about is how the service that I provide here at Truly Holistic, how it's kind of evolved to where it currently is at the moment. Is anybody that's doing sessions with me, we change from week to week really. These new things that we implement and bring in, and it's all moving towards a direction of having greater knowing and understanding of our reality that we're interfacing with, and which is a big part of our journey or path, which we'll call it a spiritual journey or path, but I guess science calls it evolution, right? So for people out there that haven't done sessions with myself at Truly Holistic for quite some time, you'll realize how different sessions are here at Truly Holistic. I'm not using a amplifying tool for my intent anymore, because what happens is we evolve, we become the tool itself. All these tools are really that I make and that I distribute are all training wheels to eventually get to that place where you've got full trust in your abilities, okay, and everything that you've always needed is within you. It's just about having the trust and the perseverance to believe in this power that comes through you. And not only we're not using an amplifying tool, and we haven't been doing that for a wee while now in regards to our intent work to amplify that, but also simplifying the system, simplifying the charts. And again, as we gain greater understanding and knowing of this reality and the core of what creates health problems, is we make things more simple because we have a greater understanding and knowing of what's going on instead of having to remove so many layers. So we're going to talk about this in the video. So as I say, we've simplified the charts, okay, so with a big emphasis on connection, okay. So when I mean connection, I'm not talking about connection with other people on a collective level, this oneness that is kind of being told about in regards to consciousness spirituality community, but it's a oneness with self, okay. So what's that when we're having trouble, you'll often hear people say you need to go within, right? You need to go look within, okay, because all the answers that you've ever been looking for, which are at a quantum level, is not out here but within, okay. Now, an interesting thing about everything being within is that when we look at a quantum level where we go even further than the atomic level, we look at particles and then we get to just vibration or frequency of the field, that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? It's not vastness, it's getting smaller. And also, a big part of our navigation of our journey and our path is what people would call the pineal gland or the third eye. Hence why I call it the ascension eye, because if it's a navigator, it's directing or navigating you on your journey. You want to grow and evolve, which is the word ascension, okay. Now, another word we give this particular eye is insight, okay. Funnily enough, these duality eyes are looking out here, and this eye is looking back this way, okay, within, okay, because as we go out of this duality reality, we go into the reality above it, neutrality, and then we even go above that celestial, okay, which we're going to talk about too. It's not found out there, it's found within, okay. So these duality eyes are looking at this reality here that is less than 1% of the visible light spectrum, right? While our singularity eye here, that's looking back this way, is looking at the full spectrum, seeing everything, okay? So there is a massive emphasis on your own connection, which is within you, okay? So connecting to what people would call higher selves, okay? So versions of you that are in different existences, which we kind of use the coin that term now for like dimensions, densities, realms, so on. They're just planes of existence. Okay. Uh, and also the emphasis that we are powerful. Okay. I still believe out in the energy community we're not using our gifts as well as we could do, because there's such an emphasis on we've got to protect ourselves all the time, which really promotes this idea that we're vulnerable. Okay. As the human, we have been vulnerable. But when we create this connection within, we connect to something more than our identity as a human. Okay. The two word human being is an amalgamation of the human with the beingness, which is consciousness. Okay. Because the consciousness is interfacing this vessel, what we call the human. So when we go within, we're really focusing more on that beingness, okay, which is connecting to a multi-dimensional aspect of you, okay. So we're really trying to change things that the charts that we have here, the way that we're going to heal somebody, is about connecting them with those abilities, okay, for them to see themselves as powerful, not to always feel like they're looking behind their shoulder all the time, feeling like there's something after them, because we start to place our attention in vulnerable terrain, okay? And when we place our attention on something, our energy immediately goes into creating that reality. And again, that's an emphasis of how powerful we are, and we're going to get to that in the video too, is that if we feel like we are vulnerable, if we believe that we need to be protected, then we create a reality where we always will need to be protected because we're always going to be vulnerable. Okay? So, as I say, our place of attention, which is probably our biggest power, okay, while we're interfacing as the human, is where we place our attention, okay? Because that will then affect how we use our attention capability as well, okay? Whether we use it constructively or destructively. We'll talk about that. So, the issue about being in this existence as embodying only as the human, which we call duality, is that we're being directed to do things in this duality reality with really very little understanding or knowing why we do them. Okay? And this is probably the biggest problem that makes us vulnerable. Okay? So, hence the emphasis of truly holistic here, the system here. Yeah, I'm a true quantum healer, but we've evolved massively from that. Really, a lot of the charts I have now are all my own charts, like that have evolved over the period of time. We've really reduced from two massive charts, a whole lot of dowsing charts in it, probably 200, 300 charts, down to probably about 20 or 30 charts. We've really downsized. Why this knowing and understanding is important is because I was dowsed and channeled to that 30% of our ascension is through the clearing work that we do. The 70%, the remaining 70%, is our ability to create and hold space. So what is creating and holding space? That is your ability to remain connected to those higher aspects of you that are within. Okay? You can only do that by understanding, having greater understanding and knowing of the game that you're playing, this reality, as the human. Okay? So you can see why knowing and understanding is vital to your ascension. Okay? So hence why I've created this new option. So if you go into my appointment page on my website, you'll see there's an option called Becoming the Jedi, a spiritual counseling type of coaching session. It's because for anybody that does sessions with me right now will understand that we do discuss a lot of the stuff that we're doing, because I don't want the client just to come here, wham, bam, there's a whole lot of clearing, see you later, I'll see you next week. I want to give them greater knowing and understanding of why we're doing it, why it was there. So when they go back into to life, right, this reality that's always trying to trip them up, trying to get them disconnected from that higher power that they are, that they don't fall for those booby traps. Okay, they take that knowing and understanding into their life, into their reality. So therefore, they can grow and evolve in regards to their journey of why they're here. So, that's a big key of what we're really achieving here at Truly Holistic. Another thing we're doing a lot here at Truly Holistic at the moment is emphasizing sustenances of energy. So areas of your life where you either charge your energy or you're ever leaking your energy. Okay, and this is huge because here as the human, we have many roles. Okay, we wear many hats, right? As a father, as a mother, as a daughter, as a son, as a friend, as a work colleague, etc., etc. So there's many facets of our life where we play roles where we're kind of being pulled in all different directions, and it can be in one area where we're maybe leaking energy, we then go to another facet of our life where we try and gorge energy from that sector because that other sector we're void of energy, right? So when I say sustenance of energy, I talk about food is a sustenance of energy, and not only eating the food, but how we perceive our food, what are the role of food, so which we can call a relationship that we have with that sustenance of energy, food. Okay, and we've been doing that with a few clients lately and getting some really good results. Could be water, could be air, could be sunshine, could be your own thoughts, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your loved one, your partner, your wife, your husband, your relationships with your family. How do you enjoy work? Do you not enjoy work? Relationship with your work colleagues, etc., etc. And these are all relationships we have, or roles that we have in our life that can affect us, okay? Where we leak our energy because we're not in control of our expression, which we call energy emotion, human emotion, which is an expression of the human. It's not an expression of the consciousness, but as the human. And as the human, we're very good at accumulating. Okay. Consciousness and energy don't know how to flow. They are flow. Okay. But as a human, we're very good at blocking and obstructing flow. Okay, which blocks and obstructs our calibration of this new energy coming through, which we call ascendants. Okay. So we really focus on that, and we help with that sort of thing too, because you're always going to have problems if you've got a void of energy in regards to one of those connections. Okay, we're also using principles of quantum physics. Okay, after all, I'm a quantum healer. So a lot of the stuff we're doing is very much in line with quantum physics, okay, and quantum mechanics. And, quantum physics is about a reality that the idea that we live in a physical reality is an illusion in itself, because there is just a field. There is the field, which is vibrational frequency, that the brain, which is part of the human, which is part of this duality reality, takes that information of the field, okay, decodes that information, and then we see it through these duality eyes, this optical illusion of what we feel is physical. Okay. So, which is really a projection of the data that is within the field. Okay. So this word projection is coming up a lot. Okay. And if our consciousness is interfacing this vessel, okay, this vessel can change or transform depending on the consciousness that is creating the projection. Okay, and I like to use the analogy with clients that it's like the old projector, right? And you sit right next to the projector, you see the light coming out of the projector, you see all the dust particles in the air that's being illuminated by the light and all the different colours of light. It's not until it hits the wall of the screen that it creates an image. Okay, Now, as the human within this reality, we are the image, okay? The projector is the consciousness that resides within the field, the quantum field, okay? And within that field, there's a number of consciousness that lies within that, okay? So you can understand that why we emphasize connection, because if you're not connected to your consciousness, you may be getting directed by another consciousness that has its own agenda, okay? Now, so I'm not going to go in huge detail about projection because we'll probably do a video on that topic by itself. But this is huge, okay? This is how we're looking at it. Now, as I say, it connects to why it's so important to be connected to within, right? Your higher aspects of yourself. Because when you're connected to your source self, which is the highest part of yourself that resides within the field, it calibrates you. It's always calibrating this image depending on the energies that are always shifting and changing. And energy is always shifting and changing. That's why, again, I emphasize, that's why you see here at Truly Holistic, from week to week, we are evolving. The practice of true quantum healing and the healing we do here at Truly Holistic is always evolving and shifting because the energy is always doing that, okay? And it's our ability to kind of ride with it. We need to ride with it, otherwise we get left behind, and that's where we see degeneration, dis-ease within this reality. Okay, so now our ability to try and hold and create space, which is 70% of our ascendance, right, is the ability to not let the mind get in the way, because the mind can create its own projections. Okay, so as I say, we've got the original projection, which is from the quantum field to create this version of self here as the human. Okay, because we're interfacing it, and that's where a lot of people get into this whole theory of shape shifting. Okay, so we're ever changing all the time, right? So we've got the original projection from the quantum field, but as the human, we can also place obstruction and block of that original projection by creating our own projections from the mind, and we get in trouble. Our mind is probably our biggest block of all, is our mind, okay? And what happens is the mind creates its own projections, and then we kind of create splicing of timelines, if you want to look at it in that way, where we can kind of be led off track, right? We've got a path that we're creating in the now. We're placing the tiles down for the path ahead of ourselves. But if our mind comes and intervenes, we can create all these different realities or timelines that tend to take us off track, okay? So projection's huge. And this could also lead into another aspect that I've been looking at, is the difference between imagination and escapism. Imagination is a source thing, okay, it's a good thing. Little infants and little kids, children have a lot of that, and as they get older, it gets programmed out of them by this reality, by being mind orientated. And as adults, to kind of, because we have that voidness of imagination, we do escapism instead, okay, which is, we feel like is like that, but it's not, it's different. Because imagination is a source connection through the heart within self, but escapism is quite often a mind projection. Now, another thing that's been coming up is on a human aspect, the vitality of the human, because we do a lot of consciousness work here, right? Which, again, is very valid, because if we do the work at the consciousness or the quantum level, that will then change how the physical body functions, the image, right? The projection. But when we look at the human body, we know that there is more microbial DNA or microbes within us and on us more than ourself. So if the human is trying to ascend, or while we're interfacing the human, we can't forget about the microbes that are just equally as important as ourselves and the function, the vitality while we exist here as a human. Okay? So, what we've been finding is that the key to vitality is an equilibrium or balance of the ascendance of you as well as your microbes. And what we've been finding is that at certain weeks or certain month, I have clients coming to me that want to work on a microbial problem or something's not right, and within those couple of days or whatever, we'll find a whole bunch of yeast infections or infections. I don't really like to call it that, but it's the behavior of that microbe, because of the environment it's given, has changed its behavior to work against the body instead of for, and that's probably a better understanding of what an infection is. Uh, and so what I'm thinking is happening there is that the energy that's coming through in regards to ascension is able to calibrate more with particular microbes at a particular time. And what we've been finding is that microbes can ascend or are ascending uh, more than that part of your own body. And what happens is that creates a disconnection. So therefore, that ability for that organ or that part of your body to remain vital is compromised, because a big part of why that organ or part of that body, why it works best, is a symbiotic relationship between the human aspects of you that are part of that organ and the cellular functions of it, as well as the microbes working together as one. So, so what we do is we just give energy to that organ or that area of the body uh, to equilibrium or equalize the ascendance of that part of the body as well as the microbes that are within it. Okay, and that's been working really well. So a big emphasis here, truly holistic, is about the environment, because we know even with regards to epigenetics, nutrigenomics, is that we have all these genes and DNA material, which is really your soul, really, to be honest, at a quantum level, is that they are either switched on or switched off depending on an environmental factor. Okay, so it really relies on the environment, and microbes are no exception to that rule. If an environment in your body is low in vibration, those microbes adhere to the same universal law as we do, is that all consciousness must evolve. And if it doesn't have the energy to evolve itself, it will start to take energy from you. So hence it will behave pathogenically, working against the body. And you come down with an infection. Okay? So we want enough energy to get to that area so the microbes and you work together. We both ascend at the same pace. So that's been interesting. Been also looking at the word disease, right? Disease is dis-ease. And other terminology we can use for dis-ease is unease or feeling uneasy, and also unrest. Okay, like we hear people, my mind just won't shut up, right? It's just all over the place. I'm scattered everywhere. We can call that unrest. Now, and people then go and do yoga or meditation, mindfulness, to try and silent the mind. Essentially, getting the mind out of the way, really. Okay, to try and remedy this unrest. So the emphasis I want to add here is that unease and unrest is a feeling. Okay, it's not something visual, it's a feeling originally. It's not until this unrest or unease lead to the mind creating a projection where that feeling becomes something physical, because we create that from the feeling. Okay? So we get this unease, unrest feeling. And if that, which is a communication to say something's not right, right? We've talked about that, about symptoms being communication. But after a while, if we don't resolve that uneasiness feeling or unrest, okay, we start to, which usually comes from a disconnection to self. Again, you can see how everything's connected here. When we're disconnected to self, all of a sudden we get mind orientated and we get connected to an intelligence that has an agenda that's not in line with your agenda to ascend. Okay, it's usually something in it for that intelligence, and we start to project from the mind. Okay, and then all of a sudden we see illness and disease in the physical reality, which originated from a feeling. Okay, and I always tell my clients as well, we need to be feeling our way instead of thinking our way, because when we get into thinking, we're very mind orientated, and we'll be led off track, so to speak. You know, where we ascend through fear instead of love. The other word for love is ease. Okay, again, these are just labels. These are words, right? The quantum people don't care about labels or words. It's feelings. It's how you feel. And again, we slap that label of love just to say it's a feeling that feels amazing, right? You feel great. You feel, you feel clarity. You feel amazing because there's nothing coming in that's including or blocking you, which is unease and unrest, which the mind does. So it's a mind and heart difference there too, and consciousness and mind too. So another thing that we've been getting into, and a lot of information's been coming forth for, is an existence beyond source. It's been called. It's come through as celestial existence, and just like source is calibrating our existence here as the human, or your higher self's existence in all the other planes of existence as certain other beings, your source self is being calibrated by an energy that's even beyond that, which we call celestial existence. So we've been starting to get quite a bit of information about that coming through, which is pretty cool. And because obviously ascension is all about ascending back to source and gaining that greater knowing and understanding, that wisdom that source has for us. But now we're seeing that there's more above that, which is pretty cool. So I'm not going to go into great detail in regards to that because I'm sure more information will come forth in regards to that. But we are starting to do a few clearings in regards to celestial existence to create a greater connection to self that locks it in, and for especially for people that really struggle to hold and create that connection, create and hold space. So that's been encouraging. And so in summary of this whole update of what we're doing here at Truly Holistic is that the common denominator that we see in all these problems and all these things is the individual themselves. Okay, and a big part of it is not is the lack of knowing and understanding of how powerful we really are, and that we need to stop pointing fingers at everything, saying they're evil and they're causing our problems, when we are creators of our own reality. Okay, so we really need to, before we point these fingers at all these other external influences, we really need to realize and understand our abilities. And a lot of the times while we're having problems is because because we don't know that we're sabotaging our abilities. Okay, so and duality's been a great existence for that, because that's what duality is all about. Is about direction without the knowing and the understanding of why we do things. Okay, when we get that understanding, get that knowing, we feel more centered in the heart, we feel more whole, and we feel more ease, and therefore less unease and dis-ease and unrest. So not only we realize the ability to heal, but we also realize our abilities to use our creation in the way it's supposed to be instead of sabotaging it. So that's been huge. So anyway, I hope you've really enjoyed this updates video with all that information, but this is what we're doing here at Truly Holistic now. And if you're interested in any of that sort of thing, and you want to incorporate that into your reality in regards to your path, your journey, book a session at trulyholistic.net. Until then, see you later.